Yeah, buddy.
That was the year. That was the most confident. I mean, I was really confident at the Arnold, obviously based off his conditioning. I was pretty confident, but the first couple of years. But first couple of years are tough. Like that first year, you don't know what they're going to do, and then the second year, you got to kind of solidify things. I was confident with where he was at. Obviously, 03, I was like, I'd have bet the bank. Like it was lights out. Like I was so confident coming in. I remember everybody's like, "How's Ronnie look?" I go, "Game over, dude. It's game over. Like, it's game over."
So, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
Did you see a bit of a change in kind of Ronnie's kind of fire after the GNC show, the show of strength? I mean, obviously that was because you pulled him right down for that, and obviously got beat by Gunter. Then did you see like a complete change in his attitude for the 2003?
100%. Like that was, like you said, like a lot of times, like after the Olympia, he would take a break, he'd go on a cruise, like he would do all these things, and then we would kind of just chill out until like February sometimes. Like it just depended, like after the GNC, we basically talked and we were like, listen, we got to change everything, we got to revamp this, and we got to shock the fuck out of the world. Like we got to, we're gonna have to redo this, and literally. We would have never probably seen 03 without the GNC.
Yep.
Like that's the truth.
I went to the gym every day with this attitude. If they want to go to war, I'll take them to war.
And that
was my motto for that year to myself.
It motivated both of us.
The hardest ever. I was doing 500-pound bench press for reps, 800-pound deadlifts for reps. 800-pound squats for reps. I was crazy that year. Everything I did was heavy. I mean, I would put like 245-pound plates on on machines, like pull downs and stuff. It's got like a 250 or 300-pound stack. Oh, that wasn't enough for me. I put another 45 on and another 45 on.
Wow.
Yeah,
everything was heavy. Everything, and it was heavy every single day.
I was like that the whole prep from day one.
From day one.
Yeah, and it motivated both.
It was intense every single day. Because I figured, they're trying to take this thing away from me. Okay. I got a surprise for them. They don't know. They done turned me into a monster. Yeah. So I'm gonna give them that. I'm gonna give what they really want.
Chad,
that's what I'm telling you. That's what it took. It took that motivation to drive Ronnie to that next level. He was already at a different level. That drove him to the next level. But it did the same thing to me too, because like it made me kind of get out of my comfort zone of what we were kind of just clicking away. We had like the game plan. We had everything like formulated perfect. And I'm like, listen, we gotta start over. We gotta start completely over, and we gotta like rethink this whole process because we're leaving so much on the table. And so we both just stepped up the game and just took it to that level.
Chad, what was your reaction when Ronnie said he wanted to do the 2001 Arnold, being the current Mr. Olympia and having to do 2 preps that year? Were you nervous?
I wasn't nervous because we had never really had a glitch, and I knew he'd competed, multiple times, in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But we had never really done like a super hard, prep like that, and we like going back to back. So really, like we went back to back to back because when you think about it, we had just finished the Olympia. There's not much of a break in there. So we literally have, we have basically a rebound phase where we get the weight up, go right back into prep again. We get done with the Arnold. We basically do the exact same thing and go back into the Olympia prep again. So it was like prep. And these are all big preps. These aren't like, hey man, we can hit this at 90%. These are big preps. And eventually by the time we got to the Olympia that year, the body was just fighting everything.
Yeah, it only peaked once a year, I found out. You can only peak once a year. And I was like, okay, I got it now. Never again. One show a year after this. So you learn a lot about your body from doing certain things.
Even with all those Grand Prix tours that you'd done, where you'd done multiple shows in several weeks.
Yeah, but you don't have to peak at the Grand Prix.
Yeah, those are back to back.
Yeah, those are back to back. And plus, nobody's in like tip-top shape, Nobody's really dieting like hardcore like we were for the Olympia. We're just cruising, And like I say, everything is back to back, and you just on cruise mode in those shows. You're not like hardcore. Everybody's not giving it their all. Like I said, we just basically cruising. We're not eating like we do at home, like clean chicken and clean steak. You just eat what they give you. A lot of times they was giving us hamburgers.
I remember when you guys arrived to the hotel in Nottingham, and Paul Dillette, I think you and I think it might be Chris Cormier, you ordered burger and fries, and I couldn't believe it.
Exactly. So that's where it was for everybody,
Yeah.
Everybody was doing the same thing. Nobody was like really hardcore dieting. We were just there just for the to hang out with the fans and make a little extra money. And everybody had that same attitude. Is it like the guys nowadays? Nobody comes in real good hard conditioning because nobody's really forcing the issue. So everybody's coming in like the same. You'll have maybe like one guy in shape, maybe sometimes two, but never no more than that, because some of the shows, the precedent is set at the top, and the top guy is not even in shape, and so that just carried the whole era that way. So the guys you see today, they wouldn't make the top 5, not even close, probably not the top 10 with the conditioning that they have. But not saying that they don't work hard, and don't diet hard, but we worked harder and we dieted harder. Everybody was trying to, back in the day, everybody was trying to make some money. Everybody was hungry for money. So we all dieted harder because everybody was coming in shape. So you trying to match your competition. So that's what that era was all about. Conditioning, being in great shape. Every show. There was never a show where the top guy wasn't in the top condition. At least the top 3 or 4. Every show, the top 5 was hard, spot on, top conditioned guys. Because that's the era that we were in at that time.
And those guys have been around for a while too. Like these guys, they weren't new to the, to the game. Like, I mean, some of these guys took, 4 or 5 years to turn pro, and then, built. So, they built this process, and, by the time they got there, I mean, through hard work and stuff, they had to just keep going, next level. And I mean, you can look at some of those guys. I mean, there's guys in, that era, and I'm not knocking this era because I love this era too, but, there was guys that were, fucking 10th place that looked crazy. Like, you could take some of those eras, and the 10th place guy would still be very, very competitive, dominate probably this era,
Yeah. I'm not knocking the era either. I'm just saying, the top guys set the precedent on how you're going to look, how pretty much everybody's going to look. There will be shows, where me, Flex, and Kevin, one week, I beat Flex at a show, and the next week he beat me. Same thing, Kevin. One week Kevin would beat Flex, and the next week Flex would beat Kevin, because everybody was hungry back then. Everybody was trying to make top dollar. Everybody was trying to get signed, to contracts and make more money being signed. Because every year, you had to renew your contract, and you went by how you did in the shows, determine how much money you got.
Yeah.
So you were always trying to make top dollar, for the most part.
It was close too. Like when you look at the guys, like, even like today, like the era today, like, I mean, there's great bodybuilders. There's no doubt. Like there's great bodybuilders.
They work hard too. They do work hard now.
You know,
I'm not saying they don't work hard.
Gaps in between are big. Like they're, like if you take, first and then second and then third, like, they're okay. But then by the time you get to fourth and then you go to fifth and then you go to sixth, like there's bigger gaps versus, where they were, in that era. Dude, it was close. Like, I mean, all it took was a percentage here and a percentage there, and you moved up spots. Like it was super, super close. You can be off a little bit here and still kind of nail that same, positioning. But the good thing about this era right now is you're starting to see some guys realize that, like I'll take Akeem, perfect example. Like he's always had he's always had the size, but he's never kind of showed up in shape. Now all of a sudden you've seen him kind of show up in shape. He's starting to move up that ladder. He's starting to get hungry. He's starting to see what's, possible. And he's seeing what these guys are doing based off of conditioning. Hottie, another one who's in good shape. He's not the biggest guy, but he shows up in shape.
Yeah.
He's dominating guys that are much, bigger, better genetics than him, but he shows up in shape. You know what I mean? And so these guys are starting to realize, I think, like, hey, listen, we're going to have to work a little bit harder. Like we're going to have to push the envelope a little bit. Hopefully we're going to see something, change a little bit over the next few years.
Yeah, it can change. It can change.
Chad, I spoke to Ronnie a few episodes ago, and he said now that Ramy is working with you, he feels that Ramy can win 4, 5, 6 Olympias working with you now? What's your feelings on that?
Or more.
I think he's in the driver's seat right now. And I think, he's one of those guys that, and don't get me wrong, like I still think he needs to improve. I still think, we're still trying to make him better. But
he will get better. He'll get a lot better.
Yeah. But he, we know where his body can go now. And it will, just like Ronnie, like he went to one place and then he went to the next place. Yeah. Then he went a step forward. And that's, that's going to be the key with, Big Ramy. Like we know the formula, and he's went through the process now. He had never went into that type of diet before. And I mean, it's like you have to.
He'll be a lot better this year than he was last year.
It's. I mean, you got to be tunnel vision, and it's a dark place. Like you got to go somewhere that most people just aren't able mentally to do. Like they're just not.
It's so tough. It's so hard.
Yeah.
In what way, Chad? In what way? With training or what overall?
Oh, like, I mean, you got to realize you got to be, you're going to diet so hard, and you're going to do the same thing over and over, and you're going to be at a calorie deficit, and you're going to be doing 2 hours of cardio, and you still got to train like an animal, and you still got to get up every single day and do it every single day. And every day it gets harder. And your brain tells you to stop every day. Every day it gets harder. And mentally, your brain's trying to figure out a way to just, to tell you, hey, we shouldn't be doing this. We need my body needs more food. I'm out of energy. I need to do this. Yeah. And you can't. You got to mentally be able to just keep breaking through that barrier. That's the difference between the great and the good, because the good are genetically blessed. They train hard, but they're not able to break through that barrier. The mind tells them, hey, listen, you need this, you need that. And they convince themselves that that's what they need. And they never go to that like deep, dark place. And it's hard to do. Like it's literally a very, very few can do it. Very few can do it.
It got so hard for me. I mean, doing 2 hours of cardio a day, taking in about maybe 200 grams of carbs a day.
Wow.
Some days 150.
Wow.
I couldn't even load the weight on the bar. I had to hire somebody to load my weight. Because if I had to load my weight and do the weights, I wouldn't have made it through the workout. So that's why you saw a little guy with me every time I worked out. He would hand me the weight. I couldn't pick those weights up and then lift them too. He would hand the weights to me, and then I would lift them. He would load the bar up for me, and then I would lift it. Because one day I was in the gym, I'll never forget it. This is when I started, doing 150 grams of carbs a day. I was trying to load the leg press up, and I got to like 8th place. I'm like, man, I'm exhausted. I can't even load the bar. So I had to sit down and rest. And finally somebody came over and said, "Hey man, you need some help?" I'm like, "Yeah, I need help. Please help me." He helped me load the bar. And I'm like, okay, I see what I gotta do. I gotta hire somebody to go to the gym with me every day to load the bar and hand me the weights. So I'm too exhausted to do all of that work.
Yeah, it's tough too. And I mean, you know, and the thing is, you gotta do it every day.
You ever do in your life. But you figure out a way to get through it.
Yeah. Rami got to a point, this is no shit. Rami got to a point when he was at Dennis's, and he was just in that point. And I knew, like, I was going to push him right to the edge. And Dennis calls me. He's like, "Dude," he goes, "Man, he's dying." And I said, "We're not there yet," because he wasn't there yet. And
how many weeks out? How many weeks out?
This is about 2.5 weeks out.
Oh, right.
So,
Okay.
5. We were close. But we had about 5, 6, 7, 8 more days to go. And he's like, Dennis goes, "I walked into the bedroom and he was kneeled down beside the bed." And he goes, "I thought he was praying." And he goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Man, Dennis, I'm dying, man. I think I'm afraid to lay down."
Oh, no.
Back up. He was afraid to lay down because he thought he was literally dying. He was thinking about going home. He literally called me. He goes, "Chad, I'm thinking about going back home." I'm like, "No, don't go back home." He goes, "Listen, if I'm going to die, I want to be with my family." And I go, "Listen, man, you just don't realize you're eating way more food than you think." I go, "But your mind is telling you to stop because you're in a place that you have never been. Never. And it's a dark, deep place that you've got to experience." And I said, "We're almost there." I said, and Dennis had been there before. That's why it was so important that he got to Dennis. And he'd been there before. And I said, "Just listen to Dennis. Follow everything he says. He's going to get you through this." I said, "I'm telling you, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel right now. We're 5, 6, maybe 7 days away." And he dug deep and went through it. And then, you know, like once we started changing it, you know, food around and we started introducing things back in, you know, he was like, "Man, I literally had never felt like that before in my life. Like I never felt anything like it. My mind didn't work. My brain didn't work. Like nothing worked."
Nothing's working. You don't have enough energy to have your body function right. And it's like that every single day. That's why I try to tell people, I think bodybuilding is the hardest sport ever. Ever. Boxers, basketball players, football players, they go through a lot, you know, but they don't have to diet to the level that we have to diet to get in the shape that we need to stand on stage and do what we do and take our bodies to another level. But and then we don't get the financial aspect of what we have to put our bodies through to get up there to go through that. So you got a lot of things going against you.